All right, buckle up because today we're diving deep into some seriously honest opinions about the Penguins of Madagascar TV show.
Those feathered fellas from the Madagascar movie.
Exactly. Skipper, Kowalski, Rico, and Private. We're going straight to the source with user reviews from IMDb.
So no filter.
Nope, no filter, the good, the bad, and maybe even some King Julien is a national treasure kind of comments.
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Me too. The show ran for a solid 7 years.
From 2008 to 2015.
Right, which is impressive for a spin-off.
Spinoffs don't always have the best track record.
No, they don't. So did this one manage to win over the viewers? Well, let's see. It looks like it's got a pretty solid 8 out of 10 average rating on IMDb.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And I'm seeing a lot of praise for the humor.
The humor?
Yeah, and how it seems to work for both kids and adults.
Interesting.
One reviewer even called it a new SpongeBob for Nick.
Wow. High praise.
Right. What do you think? Is there something about the humor that makes it so multi-generational?
Well, I'm wondering, is it the slapstick, the dialogue, maybe the situations they get themselves into?
It's got to be something clever, right, to appeal to such a wide range.
Yeah, there's got to be something going on beneath the surface.
Okay, so moving on, I'm also seeing a ton of love for the penguins themselves.
The penguins themselves, of course.
People really seem to connect with these characters.
That makes sense.
One review mentioned loving Kowalski's super serious approach to even the most ridiculous plans.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. And another one was all about the episodes with Rico and his, wait for it, girlfriend doll.
His girlfriend doll. Okay, that's a detail I was not expecting.
I know, right? Sounds like the writers weren't afraid to get a little weird.
No, they weren't, which probably adds to the humor.
Definitely. But speaking of memorable characters, we can't ignore the elephant, or rather, the lemur in the room.
The lemur?
King Julien. He seems to be a bit of a divisive figure.
Divisive, how so?
Well, some reviewers absolutely adore him.
Okay.
They praise his voice acting. And his, shall we say, unique way with the English language.
Right.
One person even said, and I quote, "Julian's mastery of the English language is great. I really believe we have all known a Julien in our lives, the one person who knew it all."
Haha, I can definitely picture that kind of personality.
Right. But like I said, not everyone's a fan.
Oh, so there's a flip side.
Yeah, some find him annoying and repetitive.
Interesting.
And this actually ties into another point that came up. A few people felt the show would be even better if it focused more on the penguins.
More on the penguins.
And less on the supporting characters.
Like the lemurs and the monkeys.
Exactly. What do you think? Does a bigger supporting cast enhance a show, or does it distract from the main attraction?
That's a tough one.
Right.
I mean, on the one hand, side characters can definitely add to the world of a show. You can create opportunities for different comedic pairings and things like that.
Right.
But then again, too many side characters can sometimes dilute the focus and take away from that core dynamic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a delicate balance.
It is, but I'm seeing a pattern here in these reviews.
A pattern?
Yeah, a lot of people are calling out those 4 penguins as the real heart of the show.
Heart of the show.
Their antics, their personalities, that's what seems to resonate most with viewers.
It really speaks to the strength of the original concept.
Right.
You've got these 4 distinct personalities. The leader, the brains, the loose cannon, and the innocent newbie.
Classic combo.
It's a classic formula for comedic gold.
Absolutely. And it sounds like the writers really leaned into that.
They leaned into it.
Creating missions and scenarios that play to each penguin's strengths and weaknesses.
Now, I'd be curious to see how that plays out in specific missions.
Yeah.
Like how they actually utilize each penguin's unique skill set.
Oh, I'm sure we'll find some examples as we go through these reviews.
Yeah, I bet we will.
But before we move on, I want to touch on another point that came up quite a bit. Nostalgia. Even years after the show ended, people are still talking about it fondly.
Makes sense.
It holds a special place in their memories.
It's fascinating how some shows just capture that kind of magic.
It really is. One reviewer even said, "It's sad they stopped in 2015. The show could have won a lot of success."
Oh, wow.
So it makes you wonder, did it end too soon?
Too soon.
Yeah. What do you think, listener? Were you left wanting more penguins, or did the show run its natural course?
It's interesting to think about how viewers interpret endings, right? Some might feel totally satisfied, while others are left with that what-if feeling.
Totally. I'm kind of in the what-if camp myself.
I get that.
But hey, that's the beauty of these deep dives, right? We get to explore all these different perspectives.
Yeah, and maybe even uncover some hidden gems along the way.
Exactly. Okay, we're back and ready for a round 2 of our Penguins deep dive. Going through these reviews, it's like taking a trip down memory lane with a bunch of fellow fans. It's fun.
I know, right? What's really striking me is how many reviewers are praising the show's unexpected depth.
Unexpected depth.
Yeah. I mean, it's got the action, the slapstick.
Of course.
But the people are mentioning themes of teamwork, friendship,
even
existentialism.
Wait, hold on. Existentialism?
Yeah.
Penguins. Contemplating the meaning of life.
Well, think about it. You have these highly intelligent creatures stuck in this artificial environment carrying out these ridiculous missions.
Right, right.
They're constantly facing the absurdity of their situation,
Yeah.
the limitations of their penguins' bodies, the threat of the unknown.
Okay, yeah, I see it. It's like a feathered, fish-obsessed version of Sartre.
Exactly, but with way more explosions.
Of course, gotta have the explosions. But seriously, that's fascinating. It's like this unexpected layer of philosophical depth.
Adds a whole other dimension to the show.
It does. It makes it more than just silly fun.
It gives you something to think about, even while you're laughing at Rico trying to, I don't know, swallow a bowling ball or something.
Haha, exactly. That's what I call quality entertainment. Speaking of quality, what about the animation style? Did the reviewers have any strong opinions about that?
It seems like the general consensus is pretty positive.
Positive. Okay.
Yeah, people are praising the vibrant colors,
Mm-hmm.
the smooth movements, how expressive the characters are.
Yeah, they really did a great job capturing the penguins' personalities.
Through their expressions, their movements.
Yeah, even without dialogue, you could tell what each penguin was thinking.
Absolutely. That's a testament to the skill of the animators.
It really is. Speaking of skill, a lot of reviewers are giving shout-outs to the fight scenes, too.
The fight scenes.
Yeah, apparently they're a real highlight. Creative choreography,
Oh, yeah.
dynamic camera angles, the whole works.
Those were always fun to watch.
They were. Did anyone have any criticisms of the animation, though?
Let me see.
Anything that didn't quite hit the mark?
A few people mentioned that the backgrounds could be a little simplistic, especially compared to, the richness and detail of those Madagascar movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But even those who mentioned that still acknowledged that the animation overall was strong.
Makes sense. I mean, you don't need photorealistic graphics when you have penguins launching themselves out of cannons.
Right? Or building giant robots.
Exactly. It's all about capturing that energy, the absurdity.
The animators clearly understood that.
They did. So we've covered the humor, the characters, the animation, but what about the show's overall legacy?
Legacy.
How do these reviewers view Penguins of Madagascar in the grand scheme of animated television?
Well, a lot of them see it as a worthy successor to those classic cartoons.
Classics, like what?
Like Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
They praise the timeless humor, the memorable characters, how it can bridge generations.
One reviewer even said it had the potential to be the next Tom and Jerry.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
It is, but I can kind of see where they're coming from.
Yeah, it speaks to the show's enduring appeal.
Even though it's been off the air for a while now.
It's still finding new fans.
And holding a special place in the hearts of those who grew up watching it.
For sure.
Reading these reviews is making me want to go back and watch it again.
Me too.
There's this genuine warmth, nostalgia that comes through.
Even in the more critical comments.
Yeah, it's nice. Oh, and speaking of which, I noticed a few people mentioned using the show to learn English.
To learn English.
Yeah.
Interesting. I guess it highlights the show's global reach.
Right.
And its potential as a learning tool.
I mean, the penguins' accents, their colorful language.
Could make for some pretty entertaining lessons.
Who knew Skipper could be such an effective ESL teacher?
It's amazing how a show designed for entertainment can have such a wide-ranging impact.
It really is. It speaks to the power of storytelling.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, even the silliest narratives can connect with people on a deeper level.
And spark some unexpected learning.
Totally. I'm noticing a theme here, this idea that Penguins of Madagascar is more than meets the eye.
More than meets the eye.
It's got the humor, the heart, the action, and maybe even a little existentialism.
Don't forget the existentialism.
Right. And it clearly resonated with viewers on multiple levels.
But there's still more to uncover.
Oh, I know.
We haven't even touched on the show's impact on pop culture.
Oh, right.
Or some of those more, shall we say, controversial opinions.
Oh, I know. We're just getting started. We'll dive into all of that and more in the final part of our deep dive. And we're back. Ready to wrap up our Penguins of Madagascar deep dive. We've talked about existential penguins, surprisingly skilled animators.
Quite a journey.
It has been, but we can't wrap things up without addressing, well, those less than glowing reviews.
Yes, the other side of the coin.
Exactly. Not every review was a love letter to those penguins.
Right, and it seems some viewers felt the show leaned a little too heavily on the slapstick.
A little too much slapstick.
Yeah, it felt it lacked some of the heart, the emotional depth of the Madagascar movies.
Yeah, I can see that perspective. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love some good cartoon chaos.
Of course, who doesn't?
But it's true, some episodes maybe lean more into the zany antics.
More antics.
Than into character development or emotional storytelling.
It's a balancing act, for sure.
It is. What do you think, listener? Did you ever feel like the show is missing a little something in the feels department?
It's totally valid for some viewers to want that,
Yeah,
especially if that's what drew them to the Madagascar movies in the first place.
right, right.
It's a good reminder that not every spin-off can be a carbon copy of the original,
Totally. It's got to find its own groove.
its own flavor.
Exactly. But even in those more critical reviews, I'm still seeing a lot of appreciation for the technical side of things.
Oh, absolutely. Even those who weren't totally sold on the humor,
Yeah.
they still praised the animation, the voice acting, the overall production.
Yeah, the quality is definitely there.
It seems like the team behind the show really put their all into it.
It makes you think about how much work goes into a show like that.
A lot of moving parts,
It's easy to get caught up in the laughs,
the action,
but there's a whole team of talented people behind the scenes.
a whole army of creatives.
Making it all happen. And speaking of making things happen, what about the show's impact on pop culture? Did these penguins manage to waddle their way into the real world?
Oh, they did. In a big way.
They did.
Merchandise galore,
Like what?
plush toys, clothes, video games.
Oh, wow.
You name it, they slapped those penguins on it.
I bet. And let's not forget that theme song.
That theme song.
I bet it's stuck in your head right now, listener.
Impossible to resist.
But beyond the merchandise and the music, it seems like the show sparked a new interest in penguins themselves.
Really?
Yeah. A few reviewers mentioned being inspired to learn more about real penguins.
Wow, that's cool.
Their habitats, the challenges they face.
Turning a love for a cartoon into a genuine interest in conservation.
That's awesome. That's some real-world impact.
It shows how entertainment can educate
Right.
and inspire. You start with a silly show about penguins on missions, and you end up with viewers who are more aware of the natural world.
And our responsibility to protect it.
Exactly.
Okay, before we wrap up completely, there's one more thing I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
A few reviewers expressed concern about the show's depiction of violence.
Violence.
Yeah, the penguins using weapons, their tendency towards explosive solutions.
I see.
It's something to think about, especially for parents and educators.
Right.
It's important to talk about the difference between cartoon violence and real-world consequences. What do you think, listener? Is this something you've considered?
It's a good reminder that even lighthearted cartoons can raise some important questions.
Yeah, it's all about context and communication.
Well said. I think that's a good place to leave it.
I agree. We've laughed, we've pondered, we've even debated the finer points of penguin-based entertainment.
We really have.
We've explored the highs and lows, the praise, the critiques, the impact of the penguins of Madagascar.
It's been a deep dive.
It has. But now it's your turn, listener. What stood out to you most in these reviews? What surprised you? Did you find yourself nodding along or maybe shaking your head? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, happy watching, and may your deep dives be filled with fascinating discoveries.